thing I have is Johanna Mendez has been cleared and will begin participating in workouts today. So with that, we'll start with questions. Raise your hands, please. DR?
Good afternoon, Mr. Woodward.
How you doing, T.I.?
Do you foresee Willie Calhoun having any issues at the plate in relation to getting beamed in spring training?
No, absolutely. I really don't. I think, his last game, he looked a lot better, hit some balls hard. I think it was just more of a, getting back into the flow of things, more timing stuff, but I haven't seen anything to lead me to believe that, the after effects of getting hit in the face, that there's any fear there or anything getting in the way of his at-bat quality, which is amazing because it's obviously something that, a lot of guys have dealt with in the past that, can't overcome, but it doesn't seem to bother him at all.
Some players who are going well statistically, some who are struggling statistically, how much stock can you put in that either way from an inter-squad game?
Obviously we have to put stock into it, and I've told our players this. We have no other way to evaluate you, so you better find a way to treat this not like an inter-squad game, and I think we've done a pretty good job of that. Listen, most of these guys know that their being on our team is at stake, so I don't think they're treating it as a typical inter-squad game would, in a normal circumstance. But I think it's just I've been impressed with the competitiveness of our team. But as far as the statistics go, we obviously are looking pretty deep with our own statistics. A lot of our process stuff, just to see where guys are at, see where they kind of rank on the team, and I think that's what we have to go by right now. We have no other choice.
Next question, Chris.
Good afternoon. One question about roster, and then one not about a prospect. But the first one, Guzman's only been there for a few days now, but obviously this week, switching to inter-squad games looks like things are going to be a little bit more structured this week, based off of what you said on Saturday. So, what are you really looking for or demanding out of Guzman and Bird this week when it comes to the first base competition?
I think basically what we demand out of everybody, and that's just consistency. Like in their work, in their demeanor, in their mentality, and then obviously the consistency on the field, and their bat quality. That's all I'm looking for. I just need to know that, especially in a 60-game season, that I can trust, when I put guys in there, that they're going to, be prepared and give give a competitive effort, and be productive. I mean, that's all we're looking for. And production doesn't always mean, they're going to hit a ball in the gap, or, it's they're staying in the strike zone, they're getting good swings off, they're putting balls in play consistently hard, and we can live with the results after that. So that's what I'm looking for with Guzzi, and I just need to see, him from a mental stability standpoint, just, trust what he's doing and believe in what he's doing.
Well, you gave me a pretty good rundown last week of the top three prospects in the organization, Young, Huff, and Tavares. What have you seen from Shirt Apostle now that he's been able to get into games, play in the field a little bit, get a couple at bats? What have you seen from him so far?
Yeah, Shirton, he impressed me in spring training. I had quite a few conversations with him. He kind of came and stood by me, sat by me in some spring training games, and got to know him a little bit better. He's a smart kid, very, very bright, understanding of a lot of things that we're teaching here. Really, really good work, in his cage work. And just, off the field, he's in a good spot. So, I've been overall impressed with the kid himself. And, his talent, obviously, you see how much power, how much raw power he has, and his ability to hit the ball to the middle of the field. I think his plate discipline is something that kind of I have been really impressed with, him and Tavares both. They don't swing at balls. They just don't swing at balls. And it's a huge thing for us moving forward to know that our prospects, aren't free swingers. They control the strike zone. Something we preach a lot, obviously, at the big league level. So I'm excited about his development for sure.
Other questions, Jeff?
Chris, normally in spring training, off day is a big day to plan things out and make decisions. Did you guys meet yesterday, discuss anything Just what happened yesterday?
Yeah, typically they are. And, we've definitely had a lot of meetings the last couple of days. We had one today. We actually didn't meet yesterday, but I wrote a lot of stuff down. There's a lot to obviously plan for this week. This is a big week for a lot of our guys. Just from a team standpoint, we have 10 games left, 2 against Colorado. Including the 2 against Colorado. So it's big for us to start the season strong and fast. Like this is a big week as far as competitiveness and getting ready timing wise. So kind of planning out some things obviously that we had talked about before. With structuring this week to kind of prepare us to hit the ground running was really important. So we've had a lot of staff conversations and just about roster. Obviously we have a lot of decisions to make this week quickly. So yeah, obviously a lot's on my mind right now.
I think you said that a month ago or two that you guys would use the extra spots for pitching, but have you guys decided how the 30 will break down? How big you want your bench to be, things like that? Yeah, and I think that a lot of that, when we look at our pitching, and you have a 30-man roster, you would assume that you would just fill it with a bunch of pitching, but the way our starters are right now kind of has a pretty drastic effect on how many pitchers we actually feel like we need to keep. I don't want to keep just 5 extra pitchers when we're only going to use 1. So we're going to continue to evaluate our starters to see where they're at, and the next time around, obviously starting today, we're going to get a good feel for how many pitches they can actually throw when it comes down to opening day. They'll each get probably 2 more times through, and if that means we get to keep 1 less reliever because of it, because we know that our starters can go a little bit deeper, then that makes us better, because then I can maybe add a 1 or 2 position players that could maybe provide a ton of value off the bench. Thank you.
Other questions? Raise your hand, Evan.
Woody, I had a couple more questions to meet you down with on the stadium. In your mind, how much of a home field advantage is constituted by the presence of home fans?
I would say in baseball, probably one of the least amount in all sports. It does matter, obviously. If you have a really good crowd and it's the home field, of course it matters. But in other sports, I feel like it's a bigger advantage than in baseball. And I think that I'm not going strictly numbers here, but if you look at the numbers on home road, I think baseball has the least amount of difference between their home road splits. So basketball is a huge thing, football is a huge thing, maybe even hockey, I don't know, but baseball, I know that it hasn't traditionally been that big of a difference, but it is obviously a little bit of a difference.
The other part of this related to the stadium is you guys have a lot of bells and whistles in the infrastructure of the stadium. Sports science lab, with slip ponds, things like that. Have you guys been able to utilize anything other than just the flat-out weight room so far, and will you be able to this year?
Not as much as we envisioned. Obviously with protocols in place, we haven't been able to, with obviously with the shutdown, a lot of our, building and, just kind of got put on hold. And some of the, I wouldn't say from a budget standpoint so much, but there's just been a lot of things that have been impacted by this whole issue. This whole, obviously COVID has impacted our entire, organization in so many ways, including obviously the facility part. So, our lab is still kind of being built. It's not fully functional. We can do things in there, but it's not, next year would probably be a lot more functional to what we want. A lot of the internal, things that we have available aren't up and running just yet. And, there's for various reasons, but, obviously the shutdown being the biggest reason.
Of these 3 elements, the angles, the turf, or the roof, does one of those stand out for you as a bigger advantage with familiarity than the other?
I don't think the turf is, I think turf's third on the list there. I think teams will get used to it. It feels like grass. That's what the purpose of it was. I don't think there's too much of an adjustment to be made there. Good debate on the, I guess it depends on,
if balls are hit to the wall or if balls are hit in the air, obviously. So I don't know. I think they're both kind of equally, depending on the series. Hopefully we're hitting a ton of balls off the wall or over them, and it comes into play a lot. That'll probably be a huge advantage for us. Hopefully the other team's not doing that, and obviously we have the advantage there. So I think both of those are pretty critical for us understanding how to play those balls. Seeing the balls through the roof. It's going to be tough for other teams coming in.
Levi?
Thanks. Hey, Chris, I am over here trying to construct a bullpen. And I know we still have, a lot can happen in one day, much less 10 or 11 days. So, barring injury, how many relief pitchers at this point are you willing to say, yeah, they are safe, they've made the team, or is that still too premature?
Probably too premature, but I'm looking at, obviously we got our 5 starters. There's probably 6 or 7 guys that I'm pretty sure, in that bullpen that are pretty much solidified. They obviously still have, some of these guys are young, so they have a lot, they still have to go out and do it. But it would, barring an injury or a major meltdown, I'd say 6 or 7 of them are pretty safe. So that puts us at 12, 11 or 12. And then if we have 15 pitchers or 16 pitchers, that's kind of what we're debating at this point. If we want 15, then we can add 3 more. So we obviously have our names kind of as it stands right now, who are kind of in the lead, but a lot can happen in this week. We'll see, like you said, health-wise and just performance, we'll see.
This is where if we were sitting in the office, I would probably pepper you with one name at a time and just raise an eyebrow and see if you were going to give anything away. But we're in the Zoom, so I'll let it go there.
Right. No problem.
Other questions? Jared?
Woody, I'm curious, is there a guy who's separated himself as your 6th starting pitcher in the event there's a need, or how would you evaluate those guys?
I would say, you look at Allard and Palumbo, both of them have been, I would say, equally impressive. And we're kind of looking at both those guys, too, from we obviously need starting depth. You just never know what's going to happen. But at the same time, we're looking at both those guys because they performed well, and we love what we see, that they could be in our bullpen. So we're just kind of weighing both options. Do we keep them as depth and keep them, stretched out, 5+ innings, or do we shorten that and make one of those guys a multiple inning reliever? Because both guys kind of fit that mold of they could do it. And then both guys have said many times, I'll do whatever you ask. And obviously if it means being on a big league roster, I'm pretty sure either one would be fine doing it. So I've been impressed, honestly, with both those 2 guys. And I think both those guys have kind of stood above the rest as far as our depth goes, for sure.
Neither guys stood out more than the other among those 2. They're kind of neck and neck.
Kind of, yeah, I would say. I could give you a bunch of reasons why, Palumbo has been good and a bunch of reasons why Allard's been good. And I don't think either one has a distinct advantage right now. In different aspects they do. When it comes to maybe bullpen, I see one of them maybe being better, playing a little better than the other, but it's they're really tight.
Other questions? PR?
Chris, what's the update on Eli White, please?
Decided, I don't know if we, I believe it's, I don't know exactly what the grade is, but it's, he's going to be out a little bit. I don't know exactly how long just yet, but it's a little worse off than we kind of were hoping. He strained his oblique pretty good, so hopefully not too long, but we'll get more of a diagnosis as we go.
Start with PR.
Chris, what can you tell us about Chirinos and Willie Calhoun, please, sir?
Chirinos, we'll find out more tomorrow. We'll see how he comes in. He was pretty sore. He rolled that right ankle, so hopefully it's something serious. But we'll find out obviously when he comes in tomorrow, and we can evaluate him further. But he was pretty sore leaving here. Willie, it's tight hip flexor. Hopefully it's nothing. If it is something, it might keep him out a few days. But we're hoping for the best for both those guys.
Next question. Please raise your hand. Levi.
Hey, was there any easily identifiable thing that caused Lance Lynn to be so hittable in the second inning and then came back out after that? Was just no problem after that?
No, I think he, I thought our team did a good job against him. I thought, they ran him into some long counts. They hit some mistakes. He left some balls over the middle of the plate that our guys took advantage of. But, the hit and run, I don't know if it was a designed hit and run, but, they just put a lot of pressure on him. And that's something that we talk about as an offense. And I thought they did a really good job against Lance.
So it wasn't that he was like working on some specific pitch or anything. That was just a good job by the offense.
Yeah, honestly, they put the ball in play. They didn't strike out. A lot of balls at the top of the zone where typically he gets a lot of swing and miss at. They put the ball in play. They, fouled a lot of balls off. Like I said, worked a lot of deep counts. So they did exactly what we expected to do against other guys, and Lance is obviously being one of the best.
Thanks.
Other questions? Sam?
Real quick, I know you mentioned the other day that the umpires had kind of gone through some testing. I think it was Saturday. Do you know, are you expecting them this week or why they weren't there today?
Yeah, I was expecting them today, but their tests hadn't come back yet, so we're hoping that they'll be in tomorrow and the rest of the time.
Thanks.
Other questions? Jeff?
I know what you said about Robinson, but I'm just wondering, you seem a little concerned here, or more than a little concerned.
Yeah, it's anytime obviously a catcher rolls his ankle, you remember the Buster Posey one. It's concerning to say the least. He's obviously Robbie's a pretty impactful guy on our team on both sides of the ball. So we don't want to lose him. And unfortunately, we'll know tomorrow. If he hobbles in tomorrow or if he feels better, maybe he'll be in good shape, or we might lose him for a while. I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions? Chris?
Can you go into what you saw from Greg Gordy at that opposite field homer? From my count, that's the first homer in a Ranger uniform for him. Other at-bats, what did you see from him, and also Guzman's back?
Yeah, it's he's been working really hard, obviously, on a lot of mechanical stuff, and just trying to have quality at bats. He's it's not always obviously the results. When you start to dig in what he's doing in the cages, and to see it kind of pay off, because I know he's been working pretty hard at staying to the middle of the field, to that opposite field, and for him to hit a homer that way, I know made him feel a lot better. Then he hit a line drive to right field, his next at bat. So it was obviously a positive for him today. I'm encouraged by that. Guzzi took some pretty good swings, didn't have much to show, but he's getting his ace swing off. That's kind of what I'm looking for, and making sure he's staying in the strike zone. He had a couple that got away from him, but overall, I thought both those guys did okay today.
Other questions? Back to Levi.
So Bird had a home run, and then also Frazier was playing first base, Kiner-Falefa, third base, Kiner-Falefa had a home run. If we were putting on our overreaction hats, which one of those home runs should we put more stock in today?
Our overreaction hat. No, I mean, Kiner's been doing this since day one of spring training, so obviously I don't think anybody's shocked when he hits, a couple rockets, even off Lynn. To hit a curveball off Lynn tells you you're in a pretty good spot, because he doesn't throw too many of them. So to hit that kind of unexpectedly tells you what kind of place that Kiner's in right now. And then he takes a, bases loaded line drive the other way his next at bat. So, I think we've seen a lot of that out of Kiner. Obviously Birdie's, starting to feel better and starting to get a little more in sync with his swing and timing. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to overreact to anything, but I'm not surprised by Kiner's production today.
All right, thanks.
Other questions?
You joined the Taliban?
Who?
No, he's talking about Levi.
Cold, yeah. It's cold in here.